All right, so thank you for tuning in. Today we're going to do a showcase of Exactuals implementation of our data quality initiative. My name is Dae Bogan. I'm the head of third-party partnerships at the MLC. It's part of my role to oversee our DQI partner program. We've been showcasing our partners over the last few weeks, and I'm very excited today to allow Exactuals to demonstrate how it has implemented our DQI program. But before we dive in, we're going to just kind of give a brief overview of the MLC. Many of you may already be familiar with this or have seen this in other webinars, but I just wanted to make sure that all bases are covered before we dive into the DQI. And then I will be inviting Chris McMurtry, who will be presenting the Exactuals demonstration on behalf of Exactuals. Okay, so a brief background, the MLC's origin and mission. The MLC was created pursuant to the Music Modernization Act of 2018. The MLC offers a new blanket license for digital music providers to cover mechanical licensing of US-based interactive streaming and downloads. As you can see in the diagram to the right, the way it works is the digital music providers provide usage data and royalties to the MLC. We match that data to the sound recordings in our database, to the musical work information in our database, and then pay out self-administered songwriters, ex-US CMOs, and music publishers for mechanical royalties from streaming and downloads. So once again, the digital audio services pay the MLC, and then we pay you, songwriters, publishers, CMOs. The MLC is the exclusive administrator of the new blanket license, and the MLC is the only organization that can collect and distribute the royalties paid pursuant to this new blanket license to rights holders. I also want to stop here and say that we do have a Q&A feature. So if you have any questions, make sure to add your questions to our Q&A feature and not within the chat box, because we will get to the Q&A towards the end of the webinar. So this diagram shows sort of the new landscape of the digital music revenue streams in the United States. There's two primary sections here. On the left, we have musical works and the rights and royalties under musical works. And on the right, we have sound recordings and the rights and royalties under sound recordings. So starting with the far left, under musical works, you have the public performance rights through which public performance royalties are earned. And those royalties are paid out through PROs, such as ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, and GMR. And those royalties are paid to publishers via a publisher share and to writers via a writer share. Then we have the reproduction and distribution rights for musical works, which embodies the mechanical royalty. Those royalties are paid out via the blanket. For blanket royalties, those royalties are paid out via the MLC to the participants in mechanical shares. That include music publishers and administrators, as well as self-administered songwriters. For voluntary or direct licenses, those royalties are paid out directly to publishers or to their third-party agents. And downloads royalties flow through distributors and aggregators and record labels. On the sound recording side, you have reproduction and distribution rights, which is embodied in the wholesale proceeds of streaming and downloads. Those royalties are flow through the distributors and aggregators and are paid out to record labels and self-released artists. The digital performance rights or digital performance royalties are paid out through sound exchange to labels through the label share, the feature performer share, and the non-feature performer as well. So this is sort of the landscape of the United States as it is today regarding digital royalties. So what would the MLC do and not do? Well, the MLC will establish and maintain a public database of musical works ownership information, administer a new blanket license covering mechanical rights available to eligible digital audio services operating in the United States. We will receive and match sound recording usage reporting data from digital audio services with the MLC's musical works ownership data, and we will collect and distribute US digital audio mechanical royalties to music publishers, administrators, foreign mechanical rights organizations, and self-administered songwriters, composers, and lyricists. The MLC will not administer performance rights for musical works or collect performance royalties, administer digital performance rights for sound recordings or collect digital performance royalties, administer mechanical rights or collect mechanical royalties for physical products, administer any licenses or collect any royalties related to the use of musical works and audiovisual products or lyrics. And we will not administer licenses or collect royalties for the use of musical works outside the United States. The MLC will not replace PROs, and the MLC will not replace Sound Exchange. So who needs to become a member? All music publishers, administrators, and CMOs who have the right to collect digital audio mechanical royalties from licensees in the United States, and only self-administered songwriters, composers, and lyricists who retained the right to collect digital audio mechanical royalties from licensees in the United States for at least one musical work. The MLC will pay anyone entitled to collect mechanicals for a given musical work. Unlike the system for performance royalties, mechanical royalties are not separated into writer's share and publisher share. It's just one musical work mechanical royalty and with various shares as registered for those works. So how do you become a member? To become a member, you go to our website, mlc.com, and click on the Connect to Collect button. It's a blue button in the upper right corner. And then you begin the process of filling out the form to begin the process of joining the MLC. Cool thing to note is that the DSPs pay 100% of the MLC's operating costs. So the MLC distributes 100% of the royalties without deducting any administrative fees. So our DQI, or our Data Quality Initiative, is an initiative that enables rights holders and their agents to check data in bulk against our database to identify any discrepancies if there exist, and then to act on those discrepancies to make sure their data is getting cleaned up. We've had over 400 participants, companies, and individuals have reached out in regards to the MLC. DQI. We've checked over 17 million works, and we've produced a number of webinars on the DQI, which is available on our website, including this webinar will be available on our website. So now I'm going to go ahead and invite in Chris McMurtry. Chris is going to provide a demo of Exactuals implementation of the DQI.
Dae, thank you so much, man.
Welcome, Chris.
Dude, rock and roll. Honored to be here.
Great. Well, I'm going to turn it over to you and go off camera and allow you to show us what's happening over at Exactuals.
Sweet, sweet. Real quick before you do, man, I love the new slide where you're walking through the different royalty types.
Oh, yeah.
That flow was really, really helpful.
It's available on our website as well, so anyone can get that if you go to our resources page.
Sweet, sweet. Thank you so much for having me. We are honored to be here. I'm Chris McMurtry, the head of music products for Exactuals. And let's see, I think I can go ahead and share my screen here. And excited to walk you through what we built at Exactuals and how it works with the Data Quality Initiative, and honored to be a part of the DQI. There are, of course, other partners in the DQI. Phil did an amazing job with his demo last week at Blocker. Of course, Vistex the week before that. Next week will be Abby. She's amazing with Music Data Services. And then, of course, Tune Registry after that. So make sure you come back and check those out also. Let me, if I can get the Zoom thingy out of my way, hit play here. Cool. So hopefully you're seeing my screen. Exactuals, we love to pay people. That's what we do. Excited to share, we've processed over $1 billion for rights holders so far. To do that, we have 3 products here. Ultimately, we do the payments in Payments Hub, and we also have analytics within there. But in order to pay people, you need to know who to pay, and that's where Ray comes in. So as I'll show you here in a moment, Ray aggregates data from as many different places as we can, and then resolves the conflicts within that data. And then once we know who to pay, we need to know how much to pay, and that's where SR1 comes in. SR1 is a part of a company called Backlash that's now a part of Exactuals. We now, in addition to taking royalty calculations from other companies and working off of their statements, we can now process our own royalty calcs. Joe and his team have done an amazing job with that product. And then ultimately to pay folks within Payment Hub. So with metadata, I know many friends are on this call. If you know me, you know how much I love metadata and that it is my life's passion. But with data, basically, you've got to not only source the data, but you have to resolve the conflicts in the data. And Phil got into a bit of that last week as he was walking through his graph-based technology there. So we source the data, and then we match the data, resolving the conflicts within that, and then we surface that via the API. And so our APIs are really helpful in terms of prepping your data for registration with the MLC, as I'll show here in a moment. But our customers use the RA data for valuation purposes, for acquisition, acquiring catalogs, distributing it into the marketplace to make sure it meets the high quality standards of Apple and Spotify, et cetera. And then for audit purposes, as well as, of course, ultimately payments, which is what we do. So real quick, I'm going to walk through the metadata opportunities that our products are used to address. Of course, data powers experiences, right? Curations, playlists, timed lyrics. It also, powers voice, so that you can say, hey, who wrote Shake It Off, right? And hopefully you'll get Max Martin back in addition to Taylor, right? So attribution, knowing not just who the artist is, but also all the featured performers, the engineer, the producer, of course, the songwriter, any derivatives of the works itself. And then ultimately, of course, all that's to power payment, which we love to see going up and to the right. Well, to address those opportunities, there are several challenges. There's the quality of the data, the quantity of the data, the disparate nature of the data, and the dynamic nature of the data. So with the quality, this was my first job here in the music industry, as I'm sure many of us were, which is manually entering the metadata, right? Like you're an intern or it's your first day on the job. What are you going to do? You're going to be entering metadata. That creates some major quality issues as this is happening around thousands of companies throughout the industry. It could be a difference of opinion, but it could also be, a fat finger. You just slip and you put the wrong thing. So lots of quality issues within the data. And then, of course, the quantity. We've got, 60,000 songs, of course, being uploaded to DSPs every single day. And I just love this quote from Willard from 2016. So it's a bit outdated, but it's exponentially even more now across trillions of streams, right? Is where we are now. But a hit song can generate up to 900,000 distinct royalty payments. So like trillions of streams, now probably millions of potential points of payment. It's just an exponential problem. And then the disparate nature of the data. This data lives in lots of different places. I was working with a company just the other day. They're processing, millions of songs, but it's all being done to Google Docs. And it's just like, oh man, and then of course the data may also live in CSVs or spreadsheets or, hopefully folks are using DDEX and CWR, right? But the point is that the data is very disparate in nature. And then we've seen a huge trend in the dynamic nature of the data, that the information is changing as catalogs change hands, right? As we sell and buy catalogs. So the data is constantly changing there. So that in a nutshell is the opportunities and challenges that have to be gotten right, that have to be resolved in order for payment to happen in a quick, efficient, and accurate way within that. So as folks are preparing their catalogs, whether it's for registration with the MLC, or maybe they've acquired a catalog and now they've got to redistribute that catalog, or they need to populate the Orchard template, right? Usually they're working with very minimal data. And so here's an actual example from one of our customers where they actually had some pretty good data. Obviously a cover, Suffragette City, great song. And they did take the time to say, hey, this is Bowie, right? awesome that they did that, but still not a ton of information so that you know who to pay. Like what's Bowie's IPI, right? What's the ISWC? And so they will feed this data to Ray to ultimately get more data, right? And so that's in a nutshell what Ray does within that. You can see both, you know, Bowie's given name here, David Robert Jones and David Bowie, both of the IPIs. ISNI is another great important identifier, not included here, but that's another one of the identifiers that you can have access to when preparing data. So real quick, we did create a tool here. If I move things out of my way so I can get to the screen. And this is just demonstrating the kind of data or a way to get the data. So you can see here, I just randomly chose one of our examples. It's an ISWC, and it's going to pull back all of the recordings and then all of the collections that lives on, et cetera, et cetera. So you see the different ISRCs linked to that, and then the collections that ultimately appears on. So Ray, using Ray to ultimately register, right? So I have here a screenshot of, hopefully this looks familiar. This is the bulk ingest template from the MLC. You can use this if you're registering individually through the portal as well, but you know, there's a lot of data here that is needed and that you want when you're registering. You may not have all of that data. Well, I tried to highlight here everything that is available within the Ray API so that, you know, we can pull that data in and help you with that registration itself. And then, of course, ultimately, while we're here, is to say, okay, I have my data. I need to know what the MLC already has, right? You know, so I want to compare my data to the MLC's data, and you do that via DQI, the Data Quality Initiative. So if we hop back over here, as we were looking to assist with this, we had one goal, which was just to make it as simple as possible. We wanted you to be able to either just drag and drop a CWR or a CSV or a TSV and then be done, right? You know, you could take your entire catalog and just upload it and then get a response back as to what that comparison is. So you get here by going to royalties.ai. Of course, you create an account. I'm going to create test, and we'll just say the MLC DQI test, and put my phone number in here. Everyone is more than welcome to call me. And I'm going to put my personal email in here, me.com, and create a password. We'll just do the test password and accept the terms, right? And then I create an account. Once I create an account, I'm able to go in here and you can see I can drag and drop a CWR. I can take these TSVs and download the template and fill those out, or I can download a CSV and template and do that. But just for simplicity's sake, we're going to do a CWR, of course, test, and then testing description. And then here at this point, if you're not one of Exactuals customers, you would input a credit or debit card, and it was just a flat rate of $10. And we wanted that to be super, super cheap, and while still covering our costs and whatnot, just so you could do your entire catalog for a low fee. However, for the MLC DQI, we do have promo codes for everyone. You can get those by just reaching out to us at music@exactuals.com and just put in the subject MLC DQI, and we'll get you a promo code. So I'm going to grab a promo code here and input that. Apply. Great. Goes to 0. Now I'm going to grab a CWR and drag and drop that guy and upload here. Perfect. There's lots of construction going on around me, so my internet is quite poor at the moment. I was pretty worried about that. But then I just hit go. And you do have to put your HFA top publisher number in here. I'm glad that error happened. So you throw your HFA top publisher number in here. That helps the MLC know what to match that to, and hit go. So it's that simple to participate in the DQI. I'm going to log out here and log into my account so you can see what the response you get back is like within that. So here I am, and I'm going to, just grab. So this is what your portal looks like. You can see that all of everything you've uploaded. You've got the different statuses. We're looking at all now. But let's download the summary and the output here. Then that's great. I've already done this. I'm going to hit cancel. We can just show you as I have it prepared, which I think, here we go. So, so this is what the output file looks like that you get back from the MLC. You see the number of works processed, and then you then see HFA works processed, ISWC not found, and then no usable identifier supplied for 4 of these. So I could see that I supplied here 6 ISWCs here, and actually each of these the MLC did not have a record of. So I know that, okay, when I'm registering, I'm going to need to include those. So at this time, I'd actually like to welcome Bishop Perry, who is one of the customers that has used the MLC DQI process that we just went through, and let him walk you through how he had several thousand, and this helped him hone in on just the couple that he needed to pay attention to. So as a product owner, I try to talk to as many folks as I can. And when I was talking to Bishop, I was like, dude, I'm so glad this helped you. So Bishop, welcome. I think you're on mute, or at least I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There we go. Perfect.
Yes, I'm glad to be here. Glad to give you some feedback about my experience with the RA. It took a lot of cumbersome processes away from us. It was very transparent about the data that we received, so we were able to align our inaccuracies on our end against the data that we received from the RA. The upload process, I think, is very good. I think it could probably be consolidated to one entry with some type of standard template allowing that to happen. But for the most part, even now, I'm going through some uploads, and Chris over at Exactuals, the other Chris, he's very good about helping with perfecting this or making this a comprehensive catalog. So it's like all around support that you get from the moment you begin to upload to helping you align, your own inaccuracies in your catalog. So great product for me. I like it.
Thanks, Bishop, man. That's awesome. And I appreciate the shout out to our customer success team. They really are phenomenal. And, all of them come from the industry. And so they know like the space really, really well. And CP, as I call Chris Phillips in particular, is fantastic. Thank you for that feedback on the multiple files. I'll show you what Bishop was referring to there. If we go here to do a new submission, what he's talking about is if you go here instead of having one file, you've got 4 files. So that's across the works, the writers, the publishers, and the alt titles. This is part of how it's parsed and then matched to the MLC. With the CWR, as you saw, it is just one file. But this is really great feedback, Bishop, taking these 4, making it 1, and then we can parse out from there. And as I mentioned, we've already got that change underway. So thank you for that. One of the things when I reached out, or when we were having a customer interview, you know, and seeing what you thought about it, you had said the visual you gave me was, man, like otherwise it would be like looking at a string of digits, ones and zeros, and having to quickly recognize, okay, which of those ones and zeros is out of place, right? You know, and so I thought that was a great visual, or a needle in the haystack, just being able to hone in, okay, what is it that needs some attention here within that? So
it was very accurate when it came to seeking the inaccuracies. When it was in the spreadsheet, it was almost at a moment's notice, you could see it, versus, you know, having to create an inquiry to find that type of inaccuracy in the catalog. I was able to see it in a matter of seconds after it. That was amazing. That was amazing.
Awesome. That makes me happy, man. Super, super cool. Well, as I mentioned, we want everyone to be able to take advantage of this. So we did create, you know, the promo code for free upload. If you to take advantage of that, just reach out to music@exactuals.com, and then just put somewhere in the subject MLC DQI. That'll make sure it gets to the right folks and whatnot. But thank you all, and thank you, Bishop, for taking time, man, to come and talk about your experience here.
Thank you.
Chris, thank you, Bishop.
Thank you, Dae. Hey, I think you're doing a great job up there, man. You know, you brought the forces together. I think that you guys you're doing a great job into throwing it forward correctly. And that's the important part, man. So thank you for having me a part of this panel.
Absolutely, appreciate it. All right, I'm going to continue on with my portion of the presentation. I appreciate your demonstration, Chris, and thanks for stepping in, Bishop.
All right.
Okay, so what should you do now? Number one, you need to become a member of the MLC. If you're a publisher, administrator, or CMO, or self-administered songwriter, you can, again, become a member by going to our website, clicking on the Connect to Collect. You can check your data by participating in the DQI. And you should confirm your payment information so that we are paying out the right bank accounts or addresses. To participate in the DQI, you're going to need to set up a relationship with us, and you can do that by visiting our mlc.com/resources or by emailing data.quality@themlc.com. We do have a portal where you can check your works and make edits, as well as see your statements and royalties. In regards to statements and royalties, the MLC pays out on a monthly basis. Our first royalty distribution was just in April. We have a cadence of a 75-day or 70-day turnaround from the point of since the royalties were earned for a period and then paid out. For example, for January, the royalties were paid out in April. And then from March or February, the royalties are paid out in May, and so forth. The MLC Support Team is available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. We have phone, email, and chat. We're also available on the weekends from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So now I'm going to open it up to Q&A using the Q&A feature. And Chris, I'm going to invite you back in case there are questions for Exactuals.
Sweet, man. Thank you.
Okay, so the question here is from Nathan. This question, I believe, is for me. If there are no distributors or aggregators, then does the money go directly to the record label and artist? So I believe since you're talking about distributors, aggregators, record labels, and artists, you're talking about the royalties on the sound recording side. And in that case, royalties on the sound recording side will flow to back through the pipeline where the recordings are received. So if it was received from a distributor or aggregator, that's where sound recording royalties flow. If we're talking about mechanical royalties, those royalties are, it's the blanket mechanical royalties. Those royalties are paid to the MLC from DSPs, and then we must match the usage statements from the DSP to the musical work information in our database to make those payments to the proper parties. Okay, next question here. With streaming platforms dealing with manipulated or automated plays, what should I keep aware of in terms of future fake data? I mean, that goes a little bit beyond the scope of this this conversation here in regards to DQI. So I would say that that your question doesn't really apply to our DQI, but I think making sure that you register your works properly and that you have complete metadata that's being distributed out into the music industry will help against many of the issues that arise from incomplete or missing metadata. In regards to fake plays, that doesn't really directly relate to DQI, our process. Okay, this question is for you, Chris. Is the RACE system a requirement for participating in the DQI, or is it simply a tool that helps streamline the process?
Yeah, thank you, Ron, for your question. No, man, not at all. Not a requirement to participate in DQI. As I mentioned earlier, Exactuals is one of several partners here, and so you can use Abby's system, you can use Phil's system at Blocker, Abby's at Music Data Services, Tune Registry, Vistex. There's several. What Ray does is what we found is folks are having to go and hunt down this data, right? Even within larger companies, we found the right hand doesn't always know what the left hand's doing. And in just getting recording information for publishing or publishing information for recordings is having to hunt that down. And so Ray's just a super simple, quick way to get all of the data that's already been aggregated together and kept up to date within that. So I appreciate that question, Ron.
Okay, I don't see any more questions, but I'll give it a second or two, a couple of seconds to see if there's any last minute questions before we see you off for the rest of the week. Okay, well, I appreciate everyone for tuning in to this demonstration. Chris, thank you for showing us the Exactuals implementation of DQI, as well as highlighting the other products that is offered through Exactuals. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Yeah, man. Thank you all. Take care.